guys, Dave here, and welcome back to another ad-free episode of FFBE War of the Visions. In today's episode, I'm going to be giving you a roadmap of all future UR units, starting with Rain and ending with Skar, who is the current unit on the JP banner. Now, I'm making this for two reasons. One, so you can decide, and two, because I just made a video on strategic Visior spending. I did quite a few pulls in order to get Victor on the current banner, which I really wanted. But you know, I can't do that on every banner, and unless I get it in the first pull or two, it's not really worth it. So I'm going to be saving strategically as well, and that's another reason I made that video. I'll probably aim for maybe Kirufe, and then maybe wait till the 6-month anniversary before I pull again, because in the 6-month anniversary, I don't know if it'll be as generous as JP, but we'll probably get a bunch of free pulls in some way, shape, or form. And a lot of the units that I didn't pull, like Venera or whatever, coming up, we'll probably get them in that. I have a JP account, and I got maybe like 10 UR units that I didn't have on all those free pulls. So it was very generous. So having said that, let's jump right in. We're going to start with Rain. We're going to go into not super detailed, but I'm going to give you an idea, where he can be used in, arena, guild battle, and PvE and whatnot, strengths, weaknesses, counters, and then there's going to be general stats up on the screen. I'm not going to read it all, but you guys can take a look at that while you're listening. Now, keep in mind, the source that I've used for some of this stuff might not be 100% accurate. I might have mistyped things, and I might say the wrong thing. So please forgive me ahead of time if there's any inaccurate or misleading information. So without further ado, let's jump in and take a look at Rain. All right, so here's Rain. I'm going to give you the order that the units came out, and I'm also going to give you a roundabout idea around the events and stuff. But if you want the exact details, you can go on the wiki site for the past events, or I think Clayke's ult had a roadmap, like a chart that showed you when it was on JP and when we should expect it, like what month and week in global, but I'm not going to go into that. All right, so here's Rain. I know a lot of people are looking forward to him. He's coming out with the tower, which should be 2 weeks after the Venera unit, and Venera should be not this coming Wednesday, but the one after that. Now, having said that, let's take a look. Now, elemental resistance, normal attack resistances, this is kind of the weird one, at least at this point in the game. So he's pretty strong across the board, very strong against magic, but minus 30% against strike attacks. So as we all know, Ziza is the only UR strike unit in the game right now. Now she can one-shot a strong Rain with Terra Slash after using Store with like a +5 Mithril or Cat Claw. But with the way that the AI works, just throwing her in there without waiting for the rest of the team is very unlikely that that's going to happen, and she's probably going to die first. So Rain doesn't really have any natural predators, if you will, until Glacelia comes out, who is a water unit and then has piercing attack. And he only has 5% against that, and she has like armor pierce. So he's going to be pretty strong for a while. With, again, no natural predators. Got pretty strong skills across the board. His main job there, I don't know what it's called, but that's the one that most people use as their sub job as well. Now, Rain, he is the best unit in the Ifrit raid, even though it's a water raid, because he has a quad break, I think, what is it called? Undermine, that lowers like spirit defense and everything, and he can chain really well with himself. So 4 Rains were doing better than any other units in that raid. If you're thinking about pulling for him, you get his best in slot at this point in the game, even on JP, just by getting and completing floor 20 of the tower and then leveling up the weapon. So that's one great advantage to this unit. But guild battle and arena, he's going to be very strong for a while because he's tanky, and the Firaga and his, I think, maybe limit break. They do a lot of damage. So, he's going to be good in PvP for a while, stronger than other units until he gets this counter that comes in, which, they want the units to be strong at first, and then they'll come out with a counter after that. So you enjoy like a small period of overpoweredness, and then after that, when there's a counter in place, you kind of have to play around with vision cards and play around with your teams more. Same thing with Orlando when he was out. So he's a strong overall character. It is going to be good probably at some point in the game when we get real trials like FFBE, where big hard bosses that take like 20-30 turns to defeat. Probably a good idea to have that, but there's more magic tanks coming on the horizon. So if you're not totally in the rain, you might want to hold off. But yeah, that's my cap for rain. That's my review for rain. Let's move on to the next unit. All right, so Warrior of Light. This is a limited time unit, but this is a unit that a lot of people are looking forward to, and it's a pretty strong unit both in PvE and PvP. So let's take a look why. Well, it's a light unit, so it's tanky, so it only has really dark units as a weakness. It only 10%, so not a huge downer right there. Now, as for his attack resistances, he's pretty strong across the board, 25 innate to slash, which is really nice, and 5% for magic. Now, this is one of the areas where he shines a lot over Engelbert, where he's not as strong for receiving all physical attacks. And he's got 25% more resistance than Engelbert there. And then his minus pierce, you can negate that. There's a guy who's a super whale on JP, and he put his Warrior of Light with full pierce attack resistance, and even with the new unit Glacelia completely maxed out with all the cards, vision cards and gear in her favor, she was barely able to touch him. Well, but by barely I mean like only 30-40% instead of like a one-shot. So Warrior of Light, depending on what you put on him, he can be survivable against any type of unit, which is one reason he's really good for your arena and guild battle, and PvE as well, of course. Now, his jobs are kind of interesting. He has like Dragoon. I was thinking about a possible trolley arena team with that, where you could put the tank card on him and turn off other abilities once we get that. So he uses his Brave Presence, which is only 18 TP, very low cost, to taunt, whereas Rain and Agurias and some of the other units are over 40, very high. So he's got a low taunt cost, so he could taunt and then possibly the next turn jump up in the air and negate attacks 100%, whereas units would try to attack him and waste their attack. I've never seen anyone using that on JP, but I'd definitely like to try it out or see other people try it if I don't decide to pull for him. But, strong unit overall, and I think he's pretty much an upgrade over Engelbert in almost every single way, except raw physical attacks. Okay, and you thought I was finished with Warrior Light, and so did I, but I just want to add one more note with the way that they nerfed hate. So right now, with the hate card, even if you have that on, different than JP, you have to hit someone again in order to raise your hate. And Engelbert does have a tracked blade, or whatever the heck it's called, but it costs 44 AP, so that's probably like 3 turns building up. So number one, Engelbert is very slow, so 3 turns worth of build up to do that. The match is probably over if you're doing arena or guild battle before he can even do that, unless it's the second round of guild battle. That's usually the only time he has that. And then he's slow to begin with, so him hitting someone else to raise the hate with that card on is going to be really slow. But Warrior of Light, he can use a track blade from turn 1, and you don't need to put the Vow of Love card on him. But if you do, he's going to be like a hate machine later when you can strategically turn skills on and off. So you can make his taunt the only TP skill that he uses or something, and turn off any other attacks that you don't want. So he can just be attracting hate, have very high resistance, put resistance cards on your attack units too. So he's very hard to kill, and then your attack units can just run around and destroy the other team like that. So I mean, that's kind of the strategy I use now in guild battle with my Engelbert, even though he's slower. And I can usually defeat both sets of teams, even if they're high levels, regardless. Okay, so now I'm done with Warrior of Light. Let's move on. Sorry. Okay, so we had Warrior of Light right after Rain. Kirufe comes out, I believe, overlapping with the second half of the Warrior of Light banner. Now, Kirufe is, to this point, a very, very strong unit in any type of PvP. When I say PvP, I include AI PvP, aka Arena and Guild Battle as well. Okay, so she's very strong, and even though she has a weakness against wind and whatnot, she's so tanky that she's probably still not going to get one shot in almost every situation. So very strong. But across the board, you can see, oh wow, 15% missile and slash. So that's really big. The only minuses she has are, one, units that don't exist in great numbers, and two, units that not as many people use. So that's another key too. The more free-to-play players you have, the less people you're going to have with all of the less popular units, right? So until Glacelia comes along, she's going to be strong because there's not going to be many people with Pierce, probably hardly any free-to-play or Dolphins with Victoria. It's probably mostly going to be whales or just fans and whatnot. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But Kirufe, where she shines the most in Arena is, her tankiness, damage, and ability to heal, but her holy guaranteed hit is really good too. So when Venera comes out and all these dodge teams, you're going to have trouble with stuff like that, but like Kirufe, Ayaka plus whatever can be really good against those teams. So it is kind of a holy skill, but it's not at the same time. Like it's a non-chainable holy, but it's holy in the regard that it will do more damage to dark units. So she'll be good against those. Most people use White Mage as the sub job for her. But again, strong in pretty much every situation. Her energy buster, the 3 beams across 3 squares, out 3 squares, is also very strong. So good unit in Arena. And her trust is kind of interesting, 45% damage reduction against single attacks for 3 turns. That's really awesome. But if the enemy uses AoE, then you take 25% more. So it's a double-edged sword, but it's an interesting ability nonetheless. So this is probably a unit I'm definitely going to go after. Right now I'm saving up for either her or Warrior of Light. Alright, so I wasn't sure which character to put next, but Orudora comes out for the first half of the Tactics banner. So I'm going to do her, then the Tactics units, then the Mathematician. So this unit, basically, with Kirufe, Warrior of Light, and Rain. Oh yeah, those 3. They're pretty much the meta on JP, like super tanky in Arena. Like you had your magic defense, your physical defense, your magic damage, and your physical damage all covered with one team. And basically, the only way to beat those 3 was to have those 3 and get lucky with the AI or have better gear or better placement or whatever. So in order to counter that, they started bringing out more armor penetration units. This unit right here has that on some of her skills. I think maybe Limit Break as well. And then the Trust there, you can see 50% armor pierce. So if you have Lucia or you've played around with her, you know that the armor pierce is pretty powerful. Now this unit itself has very low hit points for UR. I think that's ridiculously low, to be honest. Plus she has soldiers, so she's going to be like sacrificing more. But again, very, very high attack, possibly the highest in the game so far, even over the new Shuteru unit, because like a Viking soldier and assassin there. So it hits extremely hard with her abilities. And basically her job is to kill tanks. And basically like an anti-Kirufe unit as well. But her TMR looks really good, but just keep in mind that the reason it's not rated that high is because you're limited on the number of units that can actually equip that. All right, Agurias here. Nothing super special about her Trust. 25% damage reduction across the board for 3 turns, but it does say Shell and Protect, so you can probably dispel it. So that's one thing. Now 50% attack resistance. I'm guessing that's 15% less from all of the physical things, but I'm not 100% sure just because the way it's worded. But when you have plus 15 magical attack on the Platinum Staff I think it's the same thing as that, so I think it negates a raw 15% off the total damage calculation. So if that's true, then it's very strong. Now, Agrias is the second magical tank that comes out. And she has some strengths, some weaknesses over Rain. Good for PvP in the fact that she has an ability that does stop. Warrior of Light does too, but I haven't really seen him use it as often. A lot of people use her for the stop there. A decent unit overall, but in some of the things that I've seen, she struggles to get enough AP for some of her abilities. But again, a strong unit overall in a lot of different situations. But again, like Rain, her taunt ability, I think uses like 43 or 46 TP. It's very, very expensive, but it does give defensive benefits as well. All right, so Delita. Delete. Yeah. I wish I could delete him. No, I got trolled by him so much in FFBE. So no matter how powerful he is, I really don't want him because he was such a troll. That's why I put in the fake category that I made up in the bottom right, there's like the troll face. So he's got a minus 100% troll resistance because he's a huge troll. But the unit in tactics War of the Visions here is very, very strong. It has stop in PvP, so a lot of people use it for that. He's a pretty hard hitter. Now he doesn't have as high of an attack, but he has a magical stat too, so I think it pulls from the magic as well. I'm not 100% sure since I haven't actually used it, and not many people did like an in-depth video on that. But he does hit hard, and he's also very good for the Ifrit fight. So you can do 4 rains, or you can do 3 rains and a Delita. He can further reduce Ifrit's fire resistance. So even though he's fire, fight fire with fire. And then he can still chain with rain because they're both fire, they're both slash, and they're, dropping Ifrit stuff way down. So he's a good unit all around, but, weak against magic. Very weak against magic, actually. So when the next Irudira comes out, she's just going to eat him alive. But, every unit has their counter, so that's to be expected. All right, so Irudira, it's actually, I re-rolled my JP account for this. Because the first one, I got 3 copies of Mediena like a Rob, and no other URs after doing all the story and spending like 40,000 Visior in it. So I just re-rolled. So I got her, I have her up to 99, her trust, very, very powerful unit. Extremely powerful. Probably the strongest mage, in my opinion. So I'll tell you why later, but let's take a look at the stats. So across the board, she's weak against physical, but strong against magic. And, hit points, I guess average, but her magic's kind of low, but she's pretty quick for a mage. Now, I said she's very strong, but I didn't mean she comes without a weakness. So she is like a glass cannon type unit, but the reason she's so strong is that none of her mathematician skills have a cast time. Not only that, but I think Orudora and Orudga, the heal Kara or something like that, and Holy, they're long range, wide range, instant abilities that do high damage or high healing. So her long range, wide range heals almost as much as Ayaka's limit break in some situations, which is ridiculous. Now, the only caveat for this unit is based on the enemy's level multiplier. So I think they have it like by 3 or 4 or something like that. You have to know ahead of time in order to get the maximum damage out. And also with the terrain height, there's another skill where you can do whether I think it's a multiplier of 2 or 1, basically odd or even, something like that. So you have to turn them on and off, which is kind of quirky. You have to know the terrain, know what level the opponent's going to be ahead of time to get the most out of it. And they made it so that you can't get the holy or the highest damage water thing and the heal all up at the same time. So you kind of have to pick and choose which one you want. And then you also would lose out on the magic up or whatever other passives when you're doing those. So I kind of just leave those height up and down, level up and down things off. She still does a crazy amount of damage. Sometimes you're going to hit harder than normal. Sometimes you're not going to hit as hard or heal as hard. But, it's still good overall. Plus you get boosted magic in general, which is going to, maybe give you half of the difference. But, kind of quirky unit with how that works, but extremely powerful with the instant wide range, long range casts. One other thing to mention is that her TMR, it's kind of cool. I haven't seen anybody use it yet, but she could basically move in, move in and then use that to swap places with the enemy unit. So if they had like a weak unit in the back, you could swap that unit to the front so it's in range of your other units, and then she'll move to the back and then instantly get another turn. Or whoever's equipping her armor will instantly get another turn, so you could possibly take down 1 or 2 of their units with that. So it's very strong. I just don't know how the AI would use it, but in like a free match or like a PvE match or something like that, I can see great potential if used properly. All right, so Shuteru the Ruin Knight. Gosh, who is that? It's got a mask on. I can't recognize him. So yeah, it's basically Stern. So again, he's weak against magic and pierce attack, but strong against everything else, especially slash. Now, even though he's strong against slash, he's still pretty squishy. Even with slash resistance and stuff, he's a lot stronger than the current Stern that we have, but he's still pretty squishy. Now, I think he hits as hard, maybe a little bit harder than the current Stern. He has a really good AoE slash attack that I've seen a lot of people using in Arena, and I've seen a lot of videos, people boosting him up. However, this is another Gilgamesh class unit. I put their master ability second, not announced yet. So he will get stronger. Maybe it'll be more hit points like Gilgamesh. Maybe it'll be more defense. I don't know. Hopefully something to give him a little bit more survivability. But, he's a great unit overall. He's got a very interesting TMR ability, 35% damage reduction against single target attacks. So that's really good as well. And he has a little bit of armor pen. So, he's a great overall unit. I've seen him used widely in Arena and Guild Battle on JP. But it's just the cost of it, If you look at the shards, I think it's something like 40,000 Visio or something if you're just to outright buy all the shards. So it's a big investment, just like Gilgamesh, but it might or might not pay off in the end. But hopefully before he comes out, we'll find out what the second master ability is, and then you'll be able to make a better choice on that. But me personally, I'm not going to pull on any of these double cost units because I don't even think they're 1.5 times better than other units. Gilgamesh is great, but I don't consider him even 1.1 times better than another unit. Strong unit nonetheless, but not necessarily better. So it's maybe for like a collector, or if you really want the unit, or if you just want to have the accomplishment of getting a harder to get character that not as many people have. But other than that, I really don't see the worth in it. Just my opinion. All right, so Gurasera was a unit that many people on JP look forward to. I look forward to it too. I actually have the unit on JP level 89 right now, over halfway in my shards to 99. But this unit is super strong. It's basically like another Orlando level strong unit, but it doesn't come out without its weaknesses. And of course, they get their counter later, just like Orlando did. So let's take a look. Now, the main ability is Valkyrie. So Valkyrie is what Lancer on Eileen and Oldie, or is it Oldie or Rob? I always get those two confused. But that's what that should have been. So high damage, 2 square range, plus agility. And as you can see, she has Ninja as her sub-job, so you can use the passive there to give her even further agility. And then her main, I think, pierce damage plus agility is the Valkyrie green skill that you get right at the middle of the skill grid. So again, really strong unit overall. Her trust is kind of like Ziza's, a little bit less AP, but slash resistance in place. The only caveat is I believe it's heavy armor and not as many units can equip it. So this unit is super, super strong in PvP. She has like a single target, jump, guaranteed hit, armor piercing, high damage ability, then like a jump AoE, high damage ability. It was just tearing people apart in arena and guild battle. However, she's weak against magic, missile, and lightning. So 25% weakness against Frederica. I've seen a lot of people bring Frederica back to counter this unit. As long as you can stay far enough away, then you're fine. If not, you're going to get one shot, even with Frederica. So it's kind of like glass cannon versus glass cannon in that situation. And then magic, she gets countered by Skar later. But this is a very strong unit. And since I always wanted like a Lancer / Dragoon team, this is going to be a unit that I'm definitely going after. And strong TMR. Now, I didn't mention in the video before, but units that have a super strong TMR, even if you don't want the unit as much as another one, you might want to consider getting it just for the TMR, because that'll be usable on other units as well. Lasswell, you're such a troll. Now, he's good in this game, but he trolled me so much in FFBE because he was completely garbage until he got the one where he was riding on the throne or whatever, and then maybe the Esper one after that, but I had already quit the game by then. But he's strong in this. Weak against magic like most physical attackers, but he has a neat lineup for his jobs. So he's got Dragoon, but I don't think I've really seen anybody use that. I think he uses sub-job of his main one or Samurai there. Now he's a cool ability where he can dodge one of any attack that comes out of him, called Bunshin, which are probably like Shadow Clone or something in English when they translate it. But it's kind of cool. So he's a strong overall unit. I don't think he excels like at one thing in general, but he's going to be the best unit for the bonus boss on the new Behemoth raid, which is the Tonberry. And he can chain with himself, Gilgamesh, or Agurias, which is good. And by the way, the previous unit, Glacelia, she's the best for the Behemoth. Now, Laswell uses a samurai sword as his main job, just like FFBE. I haven't really seen any of those events come out yet on Global. I don't even think one came out with him on JP. So you're going to be lacking a good weapon. But the new raid that just finished, the UR ability, UR sword, is like a plus 30 ice one. It's basically going to be his best in slot. So if you want to go after this unit, prepare to go all out on that raid to get his sword. Now, I'm sure the sword will come back in a later event, but then something else good might come out or something else better that you want to farm for that. So just keep in mind that you'll probably want to go after that if you get him. So yeah, keep that in mind. All right, so this is the new unit that's currently out on JP, so I don't have as much information as some of the other characters, but Maichin did a pretty good in-depth video on it, so I'm going to reveal some of the information from that. His trust there, I don't think it's anything to write home about. I don't know what percentage he gives, but it's like one ally for 3 turns, he boosts their magic. So it's not AoE. If it's maybe like 50% or more, then maybe it's decent, but I don't think it's a trust to really go after. Now his jobs are kind of interesting. This character is very comparable to Kirufe, but I'd say he's a mix between Kirufe and Mediena to be most accurate. Now, even though he has the sub job of Kirufe there, he doesn't have all of the defensive abilities there. So he's still kind of like a glass cannon. And when you look at his resistances, you can see the same thing. So he's, again, strong against magic, but weak against all physical attacks. Now, where this unit shines, where no other mage has so far, is his quick casting ability. Since he has Time Mage, he gets the quick cast passive from that. His master ability is minus 20%. And then Maichin put the Who Wants to Be the Strongest Millionaire. I forget whatever the card is called, to reduce the activation time even further. So when he cast Thunder, it was almost as though it was instant. It was so fast. It was ridiculous. This unit also has an AoE Lightning, which has a chance to paralyze. So you might have like a 10, maybe 15% chance that the character that got hit is going to get locked down, assuming the resistance is 0. But there's still a chance there, which Mediena doesn't have. But the unit hits very, very hard, just not as good defensively. So his strength is hitting hard and then minus ability activation time, so quick casts. All right, so we just went through a lot of different units. I would have loved to have gone into, a lot of depth for each of the units. However, doing that would probably take 10 plus hours. I don't have the kind of time to put that together. You guys don't have the time to watch that. But in the future, maybe I'll strategically pick a unit here and there to cover. But if you do know how to look things up in Japanese, I'd encourage you to check out maybe Maichin, Sado, Ayumasu, or some of the other main YouTubers over there who are doing some pretty good in-depth guides. I get a lot of my information from them. I get it from actually playing the game and other sites like Ultima and whatnot. Now, again, just a disclaimer, not all of the information I listed on the slides might be 100% correct. I might have made a copy-paste error or written it wrong, or the site might have done it incorrectly. So again, please forgive me if there's any information that's wrong. Please correct me in the comments below. Also, I have a lot more information that I just didn't include. So if you're interested in any of the units, and you can't look things up in Japanese, just let me know in the comments below, ask a question, and I'll be more than happy to answer you guys. But again, just use this as like a guideline, and then I encourage you to go delve deeper into the unit to see how they're going to react in guild battle, arena, PvE situations and whatnot, and then see if that's really the unit that you want. But keep in mind the unit plus the trust. For example, like Ziza, even though maybe she doesn't have as many situations to use in PvP, she has like by far the best trust master thing, especially for raids. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Some units might be worth pulling just because the trust is that strong. But I hope this video was very helpful for you. If there's anything else you want to know, again, please post it in the comments below. I thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's really long and I apologize. I tried to make it as short as possible. But I'll see you guys again on another episode of FFBE War of the Visions. So please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and take care.